Hey there guys, so yeah, on the Joshua vs Dylan White undercard, Filip Hrgovic will fight Demsey McKean, and I believe the winner of this fight will become the IBF mandatory and will fight Alexander Usyk next. Now, Filip Hrgovic has been the IBF mandatory challenger since he beat Zhilei Zhang, but obviously the mandatory rotation, Daniel Dubois is first, and then it goes IBF, and then WBO. So I followed both of these guys quite closely. I've seen a lot of their fights. Filip Hrgovic he won a bronze medal at the 2016 Olympics, and he's a solid fundamental boxer. He hits quite hard. He hasn't fought since he beat Zhilei Zhang, and I believe he actually beat Zhilei Zhang, contrary to the narrative. A lot of people seem to think Zhang won that fight, but I thought Filip Hrgovic won it. I agreed with the decision. I thought the scorecards were quite fair. But Filip Hrgovic didn't really look that good in that fight. I think there was something going on. Maybe he didn't have a good training camp or something, because he didn't really look that interested. I mean, he was turning away when Zhang was in range. And I know we've seen how dangerous Zhang's left hand is when he fought Joe Joyce. But yeah, I think Filip Hrgovic is a bit underrated. I think he's got quite good boxing skills. He's very fundamental. You can tell he was a good amateur in his style. He's got very nice boxing skills. He hits hard. He's quite big for a heavyweight. I think he's about 6'6". He's got quite a long reach. And by contrast, Demsey McKean, I don't believe he even had a boxing amateur career. I think he came into boxing from an MMA background. And you can see that in his style. He isn't the most fundamental. Demsey McKean, I believe, is 6'6" as well. He's got quite a long reach too. But he seems to lack power. In his fights against Bracamonte, for example, I mean, he pretty much beat that guy up for 8 rounds and didn't hurt him once. And Bracamonte is fairly chinny, as we've seen. He got stopped by Fraser Clark in 2 rounds. And he's been stopped in the first round a couple of times. I believe Ivan Dichko stopped him early as well. So he's not the most durable journeyman going. And McKean wasn't really able to put a dent in him. And Demsey McKean is quite defensively limited, I believe. He gets hit a lot in fights. He doesn't really have, that much head movement. He doesn't have a very good guard. And when he opens up, he really opens up, and he doesn't block his face very well. He doesn't guard very well. And I think Filip Hrgovic will take advantage of his defensive limitations. I think Hrgovic can outbox McKean. I believe he can outbox him from the outside, and if he wanted to go to the distance, he could. And I believe he would outbox him. But I think it's more likely that Filip Hrgovic will knock Demsey McKean out. I think he's got the power. I think McKean is, as I've said, he's very defensively limited. He really gets hit a lot in fights, and when you're facing someone who punches like Hrgovic, you can't really get away with that. And I think McKean will have some success in this fight. I mean, he does tend to throw a lot of punches in fights, and obviously if you throw a lot of punches, you're going to land at some point. But I think Hrgovic will probably win most of the rounds, and I believe he'll probably stop McKean mid to late, something like that. So yeah, this is just a quick prediction. I think this fight's quite easy to predict, to be honest. I think Filip Hrgovic is sort of like a top 10 or top 15 guy, and Demsey McKean is sort of, I don't know, you could call him top 40, I guess. Yeah, I think there's a few levels difference between these guys, and yeah, I believe Hrgovic will win. And it's just sort of a keep busy fight for him. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and God bless.